All right. Oh, Laser, Lewis, Mr. Lewis, please let me know like um, when we're live and when we're ready to go. All right, thank you. Good evening, everyone. It is 7:04. I am calling our meeting to order. All right, thank you. We are going to go into executive session. So can I get a motion to adjourn to executive session to discuss the employment history of particular persons being considered for board action this evening?
So moved.
Moved, second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any objections? The motion carries. We're going into executive session. All right, Steve, let us know when we're good. 8:05, we're back in open session. We actually put a pause on executive session so we can come out and have take our public comments. So I believe Amy Wong is first. Does anybody else on the PTA knows, is Amy's last digits 233? I'm going to click on it. Maybe usually her name is there. I don't see. Okay, let me see who this one is. Let's see.
That's me.
See. Who
That's
is
Pamela
it?
Davis.
Okay, so Pamela, are you number 3?
I don't know. Did she just say that? Because I'm
No,
actually
in your
looking
order.
at
Ivy usually sends everyone what order they're in.
I didn't get a number.
Okay, so Pamela, are you number 3? Okay.
Yes.
Yes, I am. I'm sorry. Speaker number 3. She gave it to me. She gave it to me. I'm sorry.
There's Amy.
I'll come off.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, if you can mute. All right.
Yes, I am. I'm sorry. Speaker number 3.
All right. So Pam, if you could just mute because I think you have like some background. Okay, thank you. All right. So Amy, I see that you are here. You are up. Laser, just let you know. I don't see the clock coming up yet, so.
Antoinette, do I go first or do you want to let Pam go first? I just joined.
No, we actually was trying to get the order together and but you are first. I'm just waiting to see the clock pop up.
Sounds good.
Okay, so Laser, I don't see the clock. So do we have it for this evening or?
I do have the clock. It's just for some reason it's not my computer isn't letting me share my screen.
Oh, okay.
Is this
So
the 4-minute clock now?
Try now, Ivy.
let's see.
Nope, it's not coming up.
Okay.
I don't know why. My apologies. I don't know why I'm having technical difficulties this evening.
All right. So
Is there a particular website you use? Maybe someone else can share the screen.
Let me take a go at it.
Okay. Okay, Amy, we are ready whenever you are.
Okay, thank you very much. Good evening, board and admin and everyone on this call. First off, I wanted to thank you for returning to 4 minutes public speaking. I look forward to meaningful dialogues with the Board of Education. There are many involved parents who care deeply and are deeply vested, and we appreciate your efforts. My second item is to talk about, I wanted to call the board's attention to the tennis courts at Woodlands Middle and High School. It is unusable, very bad condition, and you know, just in general, when I pick up my child, I had a child in the fall tennis and we could not use any of our own courts. They had to be bused to a veteran. So it would be lovely to have our own courts and they could just go outside and be able to start tennis for, you know, in the fall, it was women, it was girls tennis. And then in the spring, they have boys tennis. So wouldn't it be lovely for them to be able to just use the courts outside rather than having to go to AF veteran, waste time traveling and things like that. So I really do think that we have a lovely campus. And if we could focus on some of the things that needs repair, it would really, really benefit our children and our programs. Third, I was looking at tonight's agenda and I saw that there was a $100,000 budget transfer to special counsel. So I guess my question for the board is, how much did you guys spend on special counsel for the year? I mean, that's 100,000 seems like a huge amount. And I couldn't help but wonder, as a community member, could this have gone to, you know, maintaining schools and grounds, and you know, we need roofing, we need so much repair that it was just a little bit shocking for me. 100,000, I was like, whoa, you know, that's 1/10 of a million. You know, we need lots of money to fix the school grounds. So that is a big question I have, is how much have we spent legal for the last year and for the last 2 years? And I'll keep going. Maybe you guys could answer at the end. And I also had another question. You guys recently had a special meeting and that was voted. And I didn't understand it. To tell you the truth, I watched the video a couple of times and I didn't understand the language, something about clarifying language on a deed from 1970. And what does it mean for low income housing? You guys took a vote, so I just wanted some more clarification on that. What was voted and what is the impact for the taxpayers of Greenburgh, and how does it impact us as a school district? I think that was my big question there. Another question I had was, who will be in charge of Greenburgh Central School District in between the transition period, between June 30th and July 20th, when Dr. Iverson takes over? So, you know, is it like, I know that was asked last time, but I don't remember what was the answer. So maybe you guys have one. And also, last but not least, when is the board retreat? And is the 3, 5, 10-year goals on your agenda, along with the state of our school buildings? I think much discussion needs to be had. We really, really, really need to think about how to be fiduciarily responsible to the taxpayers and parents and students of Greenburgh. Ooh, that took 4 minutes.
Amy, could you say one more time? I know you said board retreat. You said 3 to 5 year strategic plan. You said buildings, but I believe there was something in between that. I did not catch it.
In between, you mean the last point or before that?
Like the last couple of points, it was right after you said, when is the board retreat? And then you listed like I think 3 or 4 things.
Yep, I wanted to find out if we have a 3, 5, and 10-year plan. I know we're done with our 5-year plan, but I do think that, you know, we have to think about what to do with our many aging buildings. And I really would love for the board to really have a vision, you know, whether it's consolidation or is it, you know, just have more concrete, because I think every year more and more is needed, because our building condition survey gets a little bit worse every year, and COVID just took the cake. And then the state of the school building, I really wanted board members, especially the new board members coming in, to be really look at that, because I think, you know, that's been discussed a lot, and I think that's important.
Oh, okay, Amy, thank you. As far as, and you've been pretty consistent in regards to following up on these items. I know that I have shared with Dr. Iverson a couple of times this exact question, and just letting her know that the community, of course, is anxious to hear information in regards to a board retreat, tackling a 3, 5, and 10-year strategic plan, and of course also our buildings. I know that she will be sharing what she shared with us during her interview process, her reentry plan and things that she's going to be starting to do. I think some of those things, if my memory corrects me, is that some of those things are these items that has been shared with her in regards to that. We are working on an interim, so please stay tuned for that.
Okay.
And the tennis courts, I think that's been talked about for a very long time. I remember I remember that I think it might have been, feel like was Mr. Smith might have been the athletic director at that time, or maybe he was just jumping in because of his experience. But I remember that the conversation about the tennis court those many years ago as well. So this is an ongoing issue that definitely does need to be addressed. Terry, I see your hands up.
Thank you. So Amy, the tennis courts and some of our athletic facilities have been an issue for a long time,
Yes.
but we prioritized, and we've talked about it in the years before you became a parent involved here. And we talked about it, but what we determined was that it was more important to fix our buildings first, to get new buildings. And as you know, we put up a bond proposal. Yes. And had it passed, we would have been walking into a new school building this coming fall. And then we could have worked on the tennis courts, and we could have worked on the track, because the track is also not up to, it doesn't have the proper surface. So that's another thing that had been done wrong that we put on the back burner, because obviously the academic environment is more important. But as you know, that bond did not pass. And as you know, one board member that is currently on the board was very instrumental in curtailing that bond issue, and that would be Tanya Dragic. And I only say that because obviously you all will have to deal with that going forward. But per your question and answer about, per your question about legal fees, let me also say this. You should foil, and I'll give you the name of the firm, the invoices from Moscow, Faltashik, and I forget their last name, to find out how much they have been charging us for the removal fees. I can tell you it's over $60,000. When this began, I mentioned that it was $25,000, but foil the, it's $60,000 and rising, because there's still more to go. So I would encourage you to foil that information so that you can have it and use it to make whatever decisions you have to make as a taxpayer and a voter.
Thank you.
Tanya?
But do we have a number? Do we have a number? I mean, I see a round number being transferred, but what is the, you know, what is the billable up to date? I'm actually curious. I'm just like, whoa, that's a huge number. It's a very large number.
I would like to respond.
Tanya?
So my first response is regarding the bond, which had nothing to do with Miss Huang's questions. But because this issue keeps coming up, I would like to remind Mr. Williams that it was a $200 million bond that 66% of our voters voted down. And to point the finger at me constantly is really disingenuous. That's the first thing. The second thing is that had Mr. Williams resigned in the face of 5 trustees voting to have a hearing, the cost of it would have been 0. That's my response. Thank
So, Amy, to actually answer your other question, I don't know the exact figure off the top of my head, but I believe that a larger number is, like a larger request is out there in, as an estimation
Yeah.
of it. So I don't believe it'll be that, but when that final, I guess, bill comes in, that's when you'll see, I guess the balance of the transfer, I guess whatever is taking out now that like it's billed now will come out, and you'll see the either it's lower or what, you know, whatever the number would be. So this is just 100K is just an estimation at this time.
So we will be, I mean, I would like to know ultimately how much was spent on that. And again, you know, as a taxpayer, we all have vested interest to know. Now,
Yes.
my concern is that, you know, we did vote down the bond, but the same issues remain, and it's several years later. Things have deteriorated even more. So at some point, Board of Ed will have to figure out how to really really get us out of this and to, you know, at least turn the buildings around. I think that's important.
Yeah, I think there's some good steps being made in regards to like some of the addressing ECP and getting our ventilation systems up and running. And I think the plan is, and I think I see Lisa's here, is to continue to put money away and to address our buildings and prioritize which ones, you know, will be taken care of.
And I think a big discussion, I'm sorry, I know I'm taking up a lot of time, and I thank you for the discussion. It's just that I think a lot of times, you know, I'm in real estate, right? A lot of times we ask ourselves, is it worth it to keep repairing? And we keep asking about that because, you know, that's what we've done a lot of times for the last 50 years. And at some point, we're going to have to think bigger, or we're going to have to think outside of the box. And I think that's important. And I just really, the board has our support as taxpayers and as parents, and we really want to do what will be fiduciarily responsible for the long run, because we have to think about that. Everything, the cost goes up every year, you know, and it just gets harder and harder to sort of undig ourselves from that. So
yeah, as each year goes on, I can only guess that the board moving forward and along with the new superintendent will be focusing on how do we address our buildings in a sort of like I said, what's happening so far is, you know, you're picking the building, you're making repairs, and hopefully those things will continue, and we'll work together as a community to think about how can we really address it financially.
And owning 6 old buildings is much more costlier than try to, you know, really bring it together better, maybe 3 buildings or maybe something more physically responsible. I think that's when the taxpayer will actually see a tax savings in the long run, when we're not just constantly maintaining buildings. Yeah. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you for all that you've done. Thank you so much, and have a great summer.
Thank you, Amy. Okay, I think the next person is Ms.
Antoinette,
Muldoon.
David has his hand up.
I'm sorry, I didn't see it.
I did want to mention that we do have phase 1 coming out that did get approved. Our budget went through. That's $1 million off the top. There's a slightly larger amount expected from the upcoming energy performance contract. So we're taking chunks out of it. We haven't made it to the tennis court yet, but we are making progress. That's it.
Oh, David, can I also make a suggestion? Because there's so many buildings and so many things that need repair. Maybe we could have a running list so that it would be easier for people and for you guys even to keep track and to pass it to the new people.
Funny you should mention that. At the upcoming Finance and Facilities Committee meeting, we'll be looking at such a thing and hoping to post it. Lisa's working on that. The next meeting of the Finance and Facilities Committee meeting is currently scheduled for June 23rd at 6:30 p.m. So we'll try and make some progress on that.
Thank you so much. Have a good summer.
Thank you. Oh, and Amy, one more thing. I'm sorry. Carol, could you like short and sweet about the deed, the special meeting that we had?
Oh yes, that was so confusing. I couldn't make heads or tails out of it.
Carol's been a great help because it is I feel a little bit convoluted.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. So just very quickly, in 1970, the Greenburgh School District deeded property to the town of Greenburgh, and housing was built on it, and it was low-income housing. The deed used the language that if and at one point it went to the Greenburgh Housing Authority. So because the language was general in the deed, it said if it is ever not used for low-income housing, it would have to be converted and returned back to the town. It was never coming back to the district, but it would go back to the town. That Greenburgh Housing Authority has taken on a very large renovation project, which includes some property in the Greenburgh School District. So the Greenburgh Housing Authority came back to the district to ask to have the deed clarified. The lenders who were involved wanted clarification of what does low income mean. And so they wrote language into the deed, the correction deed, if you will. The corrected language specifies that it has to be a maximum. Anyone living in the property has to have an income, a combined income of 80%, no more than 80% of the median income in the surrounding area. So that's all that was.
Carol, thank you for answering that. Does it have an impact on like the direct Warburg campus, or is it something that we as parents, or does it have a direct impact on taxpayers or anything of that sort? Yeah, that's what I was trying to figure out, in my
Sure. So ultimately, the way that it was explained to the board by the Housing Authority is that by working with the lenders and renovating these properties, that the town will now be able to collect payments, which is pilot money. It's payment in lieu of taxes. That there will be more money available for the town to actually collect the money from the Greenburgh Housing Authority. And then there is a formula, and the district will actually get a proportionate amount of that money from the town. That is the goal. Whereas prior to this renovation, the district had not been getting that pilot money for a variety of reasons, but mostly because there wasn't the money to pay the town. So no money came to the district. And the hope is that as these projects are renovated, as these properties are renovated, there will be money to make these payments.
All right. Thank you, Carol. Thank you, Amy. Ms. Muldoon.
Good evening, everyone. How are you? Thank you for having me here tonight. I just wanted to start by saying I am glad to know that Camp Kidco is going at LFJ this summer. So thank you to the school district and the town for working together. This was a concern from a lot of parents, and we're really excited about that project going forward for our kids. I also just wanted to do a special shout out to the kindergarten team. You were fantastic this year. You were flexible and you kept our children engaged and they love of learning. And I know I've enjoyed watching my son learn how to read, and thank you to all the teachers, because I don't think we can even appreciate how much work you did this year. So I just wanted to say that. And to the principals, constant new guidance, a lot of questions coming at you, and you were adapting and keeping our children safe. So thank you to the principals. I hope you get some rest this summer. And then to the district administrators, I know Dr. Reynolds, I bothered you a lot. So thank you for taking all of our questions, providing leadership, and helping us to understand the guidance that was put out. And also to all the parents who had their children fully remote for the year. You are amazing and resilient, and I couldn't imagine doing that for the year. So you really have my admiration for your work. And I just wanted to take this moment also to say thank you to Dr. Chase. It was because of you we enrolled in the district and all the programs that you brought. So I'm hoping that we will see those continue to grow and strengthen. My boys were always very positive when I said I had a meeting with Dr. Chase, because they knew that I was coming to learn about the schools. So best of luck to you as you move on. But now here we are. We're at the end of the school year. It was a very, say a difficult year is an understatement. But parents are now in the position we asked the board not to put us in. We cannot make any assumptions about next year, even in light of the announcements made today, being at 70% vaccination around the state. We just can't assume anything for next year. So as Amy said, as of July 1st, we're without a superintendent. We hope that Dr. Iverson will be able to come in on the 20th. And I really appreciate her words last week that she shared about how she understands the concerns that parents have. That's a 3-week period that's very critical for school planning for the new year. And for those of you who don't have small children, you might not be aware of how difficult childcare is right now to find. There are limited options, and childcare providers are very concerned about having kids who are under 12 who don't have the option of being vaccinated come for aftercare. So it's really, really important that parents are made aware of changes, schedule changes, programs as early as possible, because we need time to prepare. So my 2 questions, similar to Amy, what is the plan during the transition? So parents have someone to reach out to. And then how will the board ensure that there is consistent and clear communication, not only about the status of the buildings, but about school reopening? And I don't know usually when new families are brought in on School Messenger, but if it's possible to bring them in earlier, I would highly encourage that, so they start to learn. It's not an easy process to get acclimated to School Messenger and all the other communication methods. So if they can be brought in earlier so they're aware of what's going on, I think that would really help them to make that transition. So that is it, and I'm going to say thank you and have a good night.
Thank you, Ms. Muldoon, for your words and for your questions. I would just repeat what I said with the board. We're trying to work on an interim, and as soon as we have that, we will communicate that immediately with the community so that you are aware. And I just took some notes. I'm jotting it down to share with Dr. Iverson so that she knows. Some of this has already been shared. Of course, she knows that parents are concerned about what's happening for the next year and all of those things. So I will definitely just share it, continue to share it with her as well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Ms. Muldoon, I just want to say thank you for your kind words. It has been a pleasure to work with your family and getting to know them. And I wish you and your family the best.
Thank you, Dr. Chase.
Absolutely.
Before you go, I just want to remind you that 2 of your current board members do have elementary age kids that can't stay home alone. So we definitely are having those discussions, so we would not forget.
Tracy, you're muted.
Yeah, I was gonna tell you. Oh, okay. Did you want me to? Okay, so our next speaker, I believe, is Pamela Davis. I don't have, is she in the room
That would be
already?
me.
Okay.
That's me. Good evening to the board. Good evening to administration. Good evening to the community. Quite a few of my questions have been answered by the first two speakers, so I'll just jump down. Well, actually, I do also want to thank everyone for their hard work this year, from administration to board to even our community with our children. And we've done the best that could be done. And I'm looking forward to hearing more of what we can do coming into this year, because it is still a year of unknowns. So I echo some of the things that the two first speakers have said, but I'm going to get to the last three because they took quite a few of what I said. One of the things I want to bring just in mind in terms of us as a PTA going forward, we are in the process of merging our unit, our ECP unit with Lee F. Jackson, so that we could have more parental involvement. And so look for that to happen effective July 1st. I also, Amy had asked the question that I was going to ask Carol, but I have another question that I'm concerned about. At that last meeting, it was brought up about having new board members attending the last meeting with board members who have not come out of office yet. And Carol had shared the concern and recommendation that not happen. And I only know of two board members who had voted because they had heard the advice of our legal counsel. And I was just kind of concerned that even though we have legal counsel and the recommendation was given, that the majority of the board voted against that. I don't necessarily need to hear from the ones who had heard the counsel, but I'm just curious as to why it was voted against, even though it was recommended. That's number one. And number two is that we have, as PTA, we have presented and are giving more information on possibly doing a unified district PTA back to school. So there's going to be more information given to you on that, Antoinette, so that you'll have that to present. So those are the two things I have to say, but I also just want an answer on that decision that was made to not to go with the recommendation of Carol regarding having new board members sitting in a meeting with the current board members. I don't understand it, so I'm asking for clarity. That's it.
Yeah,
so thank you.
I don't think I think I'm getting, it's a little bit confusing, but I believe that Carol's advice, the majority of the board did take her recommendation.
Yeah, it's the other way around.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
No problem.
I kept hearing, I wasn't sure I heard yes, but the yes was for taking Carol's recommendation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There were two people. There were two people. One was myself, and the other, I believe, was Mr. Werner, who said we would prefer for the new board members to be allowed to sit in. Mr. Werner, I think, if my memory serves me correctly, added the caveat because Carol's concern was that this would put the new board members at risk because they did not have those protections. And I believe David said, put the caveat of allowing the new board members not yet sworn in to have a choice. And I agree with that. I was a new board member and I sat in and I found it to be extremely helpful because you do get some early information for decisions that you have to make in your very first meeting. So that's why I voted for it. I'm assuming Mr. Warner voted for it similarly. And then
Yeah.
everyone else went along with the recommendation from our legal counsel.
Okay, I was just, I heard it differently, so that's why I just wanted clarity. Okay, so that I don't need to say what I was gonna say after that, because the majority of the board did go along with the legal counsel. Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Pam.
That's it. Have a good night. I'll listen on YouTube.
You waiting for me, Internet? I'm sorry. So the final speaker is Roy Fenichel. I don't have access to the waiting room. I don't know if he's there or not, and I don't see his name on my screen.
There he is.
Okay. Mr. Fenichel?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Sorry, I'm on dance dad duty, so I'm on my phone.
Nope. No problem.
All right, so I am thrilled that we are back to 4 minutes. And as you see, we are getting more questions able to be answered, and I am very happy. Thank you for accommodating. And that gives us extra time for gratitude. Thank you for the time that you all have spent for our children this year. And thank you for all of the efforts that Dr. Chase and our board members, and our administration, our teachers, our staff, our volunteers, for doing the best you can to get us through these tough times. The concerned parents and friends of Greenberg schools have not always agreed with your decisions. And I understand that often your decisions are not always made with full information. And sometimes there's just not a great solution. But as we have summer to think about things for a fall reset, and we hope a safe return to full in-person all year in a post-vaccination school year, a few principles I would ask that you try to focus on before making any future decisions. One, always seek out-of-the-box thinking. Sometimes a decision that seemed good suddenly is not the best choice anymore because of certain facts that have changed. And a compromise may become apparent based on new circumstances. But that's only if you reach out and engage with all sectors of society to see what input may be given. A growth mindset is not only good for our children, it's also good for ourselves. Two, this is why it is so crucial to communicate with the public and hear us out. You are trustees. You are entrusted with our children's education, which is too important to keep things too close to the vest. Decision-making is always richer when varying viewpoints and backgrounds are heard and all options are on the table before decision-making is made. Sometimes it's a temporary solution, especially in crisis times. This is why engagement is so important. Silver linings abound. We live in a time when instant communication can be as instantaneous and far-reaching as you, the board, have the will and the willingness to communicate with us. Like companies are facing in the private sector and politicians are finding on the public sector, online conversations are happening whether you are participating or not. No more head in the sand. Our children and parents rely on you to use every means of communication, website, email, social media, to ensure that parents and community members have access to every single piece of good information. This is valuable data that we can share with the community. We need to get ahead of these stories. You share with us, we can help you share. And the new administration, any new initiative, we can help get the word out, but you have to include us in this process, in the communication. Our teenagers, our 20-somethings, they can help you with this if needed, because these conversations are happening. We can improve the value and function of anything that we are doing already, and for no additional cost. It does not cost any more to send out these social media communications, emails, conferences, Zooms, no extra cost. We are all in this together. Please see us as the partners we are. Two outstanding items from this year, if you could provide greater detail. I understand there's a whole review process before minutes can be official, but according to your own guidelines and Board of Education guidelines, within 2 weeks of every meeting, there's supposed to be draft meeting published, and within 1 week of every executive session. So if you can make that available, and then whatever changes you guys have to make, you guys can make later. If there's some way to do that easier, that would help us to engage with you. Also, a couple of years ago, some of the new candidates on the board were talking about maybe seeking private grants, some private public partnerships. Can you clarify what has come of those requests? Have any grants been sent out? Have any been responded to? Is there any way we, parents, community members, we have a lot of local companies that I think would love to help, like, I don't know, maybe sponsoring fixing tennis courts and stuff. There's a lot of local resources. That's why we all moved here. I think we can get a lot of help. With that, have a great summer. We and other friends of Greenberg Schools look forward to working with you next year. Take care.
Thank you, Mr. Fenichel. I believe, let me see. Dr. Chase, you or Mr. Reynolds, excuse me, Dr. Reynolds, my apologies, Dr. Reynolds, may have some information on grants. I know at one time we did have someone that was focused on that recently.
I'd like to respond to that. I believe Mr. Fenichel spoke about board members talking about grants, not necessarily administration. So I think that was reference to board members, but in reference to our title grants and our normal grants, nothing has changed in that manner. But I believe his question was for board members. Mr. Fenichel, did I speak out of turn?
No, you are correct. A couple of years ago, there were some new members coming onto the board and talking about all the possibilities with universities or corporations or companies and ways we could all collaborate. And they seem to have that kind of background. And I just never heard in any of the minutes that I reviewed or board meetings that we've all attended. And I just think there's a great possibility. And if something could be formed, I think a lot of us would just love to be able to participate in that. Grab that. We have a lot of new board members coming on board. If they could be tasked with that, that'd be phenomenal.
Okay, thank you, because I'm like, I am not a grant person at all. But yeah, Tanya, I see your hand is up.
Hi there. So you're correct that when I was running for the board, I was I am a grant writer, and I actually believe that, and Dr. Reynolds and Dr. Chase can correct me, that as a board member, in fact, I can't submit grants in the name of the district, but I can help them write them. I have never been contacted by administration. I would have been happy to provide my services for free to assist them with writing grants. That's the first thing. I have repeatedly offered my services as recently as the last Education and Wellness Committee to use my contacts in various research institutions to get our students into research programs. And I believe that Dr. Reynolds at the last Education and Wellness Committee said that he was going to decline my offer and use a service that is now apparently offered to districts to do this. I still stand by my offer because I think that often making a personal phone call to place a student is much more effective than, sort of these services that do this. It's very difficult actually for labs to have high school students. It's a lot of work. It's very little, there's no gain for a lab in it, right? So they have to do it out of the goodness of their heart. So it's always good to have someone put in a personal phone call. So I'm always willing to do that for the district. So I hope I've answered your question.
Thank you. Ashley?
I see Dr. Reynolds has his hand up. I don't know if you want him to go first.
Dr. Reynolds?
Yes, thank you. I'd like an opportunity to respond to Dr. Dragic's assertion. So I did not decline the offer. I said at this point, we are looking to pursue several avenues. And once those conversations were held, then we could take other recommendations into consideration, but we would like to be able to offer an opportunity for this organization that's reached out to us, wanting to partner with us, to have an opportunity to build their facility and begin conversation with us.
Dr. Reynolds, can you share the company again or no?
No, I'm not at liberty to do that at this time.
Not at this time. Okay. All right. Thank you. All right, Ashley.
Thank you. I was going to add that pre-COVID, when we had other things focused on our minds, there were conversations going on, specifically in the Safety and Security Committee, on taking advantage of grants and what grants we could take advantage of to improve our security in the campus and what we could do here and there. Obviously, other things came across and took priority, but that's definitely a conversation we want to start up again. As part of that conversation, though, we did, at least I did learn that some of these grants are very particular in terms of what they will cover and how you can utilize them. And there's timing and there's windows and there's all this other stuff. We do have someone internal that at the time was working on that. But obviously, like I said, other priorities kicked in. But hopefully this is the end of COVID, like we're all crossing our fingers and we can get back to some of the other business of the school district.
Okay, thank you, Ashley. Okay. Mr. Fenicher, I will say this, I have also shared with the incoming superintendent, especially specifically about communications, and she actually watches where did she go? Oh, she actually watches our meetings as well. So she is also staying tuned and being aware of public feedback early. She may not be able to participate now at this time, but she does watch our meetings. So she is taking down a lot of feedback in advance already. Okay.
Great, thank you.
And
Tracy has her hand up.
Tracy.
I was going to say that's the last speaker.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Tracy. Okay, so we actually do need to continue into executive session, so we're going to go back. It is 8:51. I'd like for us to commit to coming out 9:30 or earlier. So if we can be really good about it, that would be greatly appreciated. Can I get a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
There's a second.
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 Thank you. All those in favor?
I just got a hand up.
We need a reason.
You need a reason.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I didn't blurt out anything at first. But...
Yes. Okay. Can I get a motion to adjourn to executive session to discuss the employment history of particular persons being considered for board action this evening?
So moved.
All right.
Second.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, any abstentions? The motion carries. We are now officially in executive session. Okay, thank you so much for your patience. It is now 10:11. We're going to move forward with the rest of the agenda. So what we have next is our policy presentation. Let's see. All right, so we had I'm sorry, hold on for 1 second. We have the following. The policies are 1330 appointments and designations, 5676 privacy and security for student data and teacher and principal data, 6480 staff use of district owned vehicles, and 7410 curricular and extracurricular activities. We have policy amendments and 2 new policies to be considered for board adoption at the July 6, 2021 meeting concerning annual board appointments data privacy, staff use, district owned vehicles, and curricular and extracurricular activities. Copies of these policies will be available in the district clerk's office and on our website. All comments concerning these policies should be submitted in writing to the Board of Education. All right, next up, we have the superintendent's report.
Good evening. I just want to remind the community about our mask mandate. I know that there are many people who are confused by the different directives that we're hearing on television. Greenburgh Central School District will continue to maintain its mandatory mask requirement indoors while we are in the schools. However, when outside of the school on our campus, the mask is optional. So I want to make sure that that is clear to our community. Also, too, I want to remind the community that tomorrow we will have a workshop for parents. The workshop is designed to help parents to maintain positive social emotional health, for their children during the summer, and also a strategy for planning for children during the summer months. The last part of my report is really a letter that I received from the Westchester Putnam School Board Association. You know, every once in a while, I'll get letters like this, and when I do, I am asked by the School Board Association to share with the community publicly. And so it is my greatest honor to do this. And so the letter was dated May 25th, and the letter reads, "Dear Dr. Chase and trustees, on behalf of Westchester Putnam School Boards Association, we would like to recognize Terry Williams for his service to our organization and to all the boards of our 54 member district. Providing the perspective of one's home board is a critical service to WPSA, as is thoughtful assessment of the needs and issues of boards throughout the Putnam and Westchester counties. We thank Terry for providing both to the WPSA Board of Directors. We would also appreciate your willingness to present Terry with the enclosed certificate on behalf of WPSA at an upcoming board meeting to ensure your community knows of Terry's efforts on behalf of public education in our region. Best wishes, Karen Ballinger, Executive Director, Westchester Putnam School Boards Association." Mr. Williams, congratulations on your honor. Thank you for your 15 years of service. I know that you'll be leaving the board. I appreciate all that you have done in the support of the programs. Tomorrow you will receive a certificate that was issued by the Westchester Putnam School Boards Association. Like I said, it was sent to my office, and you know, boards in the past have received certificates, and I've done this in the past and presented it to them, but I'd like for the community to hear what your certificate says, because they will not be able to see it. Your certificate, I'm speaking that into existence, Mr. Williams. The Westchester Putnam School Boards Association is pleased and honored to recognize Terry Williams. We thank you for your loyal service on the WPSA, that's an acronym for Westchester Putnam School Board Association Board of Directors. You have served with optimism and thoughtfulness. Your commitment to public education, legislative advocacy, and to our organization and its mission will always be appreciated. The certificate is dated May 24th. It is signed by the president as well as the executive director. Once again, congratulations on your well-earned honor.
Congratulations, Terry.
Thank you, David. Thank you, Dr. Chase, for that. If I may have a few moments, Antoinette. It's been an honor to serve on that board, but more importantly, to serve on this board and serve my community for the last, I think it was more than 15 years, but I lost count after a while. So thank you very much for that. Thank you for sharing that with the community, Dr. Chase. I did not know that that was coming. I also want to say it's been an honor to serve with you, Dr. Chase. I know there's one more meeting to go, but some wise person said you should give people their flowers while they're still alive. So considering we don't know what is in store for us, I just want to say thank you for your service. When I first joined the board, as part of my due diligence, I talked to somebody who was on the search committee for the superintendent who was in charge when I got here. And that person said that she regretted not having supported or argued more strongly for Judith Johnson to become the superintendent. And I always made a note to myself to, try not to make any decisions that I regret. And certainly if you spend as much time on the board as I have, you do have some regrets. But one regret I do not have is appointing you as the interim, or voting to appoint you. I didn't appoint you. Voting to appoint you as the interim, voting to appoint you as the permanent superintendent or the full-time superintendent, and then reappointing you. You've done a great job for us. You've made my job easier. I used to say before you came on, I just want to be able to sleep at night. So I was able to sleep at night knowing that you were in charge of our district. I'm not going to keep too much more of our time here because I know time is of the essence, but I thank the Westchester Putnam School Board Association for that honor. I'm gonna have to write Karen a letter and Michael, the president, a letter thanking them. And I thank you, Dr. Chase. Good luck in Westbury, and their gain is our loss.
Thank you. Thank you. And I appreciate you taking a moment of your time and being honored in speaking about me. You didn't have to. So it really speaks to how selfless you are. I'm going to make sure that the full board sees the letter and the certificate. I'll put it in the Friday packet. You will receive your certificate because it was sent to my office. Damaris has arranged for that certificate to go to your home. Once again, thank you for your service and thank you for the work that you've done with Westchester Putnam School Board Association. Madam President, that concludes my message for this evening, and I wish everyone a good night.
Thank you, Dr. Chase. Next up, we do have our Assistant Superintendent of Business report.
Thank you, Madam President. We began the month of April with $48,437,102.84. We received cash receipts of $3,118,650.11, and we dispersed $6,753,784.42, which had us ending the month of April with a balance of $44,801,968.53. 53 cents. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Lisa. And now we're up to committee reports. Do we have any committee reports? Okay, I see Tanya. You do. Only Tanya, possibly. Okay, Tanya, go ahead.
All right, so it's getting very late, and I'm actually just going to say that the Education and Wellness Committee met about a week ago, and we discussed summer school, reopening plans, the oversight and administration of ALP for next year, our IB diploma program, versus our AP program, starting up a science research program, and lastly, SCL. So this meeting can be viewed on YouTube, and really, I just wanted to take this opportunity to follow up with a few questions. Regarding the IB diploma, we talked about having a survey of the teachers and the students. And Dr. Reynolds and Mr. Gallivan promptly put together a survey. They kindly shared it with the Education and Wellness Committee board members. And I just wanted to ask Dr. Reynolds if that survey has been administered and when we are going to receive it. And then we also did discuss within this context of IB versus AP, which is, I think, going to be a lengthy discussion, mostly administrative, about how we're going to manage IB and AP, given the size of our district and our resource, and just the whole question of what is the best place to put our resources. And then lastly, we did talk about kickstarting a science research program, but it seems, Mr. Reynolds, Dr. Reynolds, sorry, that you're not quite ready to talk about that yet. So I hope that at a later date you'll be able to update the community and the board about your thoughts about this. But anyway, so I guess my only question is really about the IB survey for the students and then for the teachers.
Thank you, Dr. Dragic. Through the president, yes, the survey to the students was administered last week. We will have the survey results shared with the Education Wellness Committee board members within the next coming days, maybe by the middle of next week at the latest. We are still in the process of putting together the survey for our teachers. We knew that we had a little bit more time of having robust teacher attention than we did our students at the time. So we're putting that together, the final touches on it. Those questions will be shared with the board members on the EWC, and then we will be getting that out to our teachers as soon as possible.
Okay, and I had one additional question, was that actually Antoinette followed up that meeting with an email to Dr. Chase. She asked for some data regarding our AP and IB, just some stats about how many students we have in these programs, and how many actually take the exams, how many get grades that would earn them college credit. So I didn't see an answer to that come through. Maybe I missed it. So I'm just wondering when we will get that response, whether it will come from you, Dr. Reynolds, or Dr. Chase.
I will check with Dr. Chase. I do know that she has some preliminary information at her fingertips. So we will be sure to put that together. I think she was going to add that as a point on her bulletin to the board.
Okay, great. All right, that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hopefully it'll be in there Friday. It's been a minute now. All right, Ashley.
Thank you. Just a quick note to our community. We were supposed to have our Safety and Technology Committee meeting last Thursday. Unfortunately, there were some scheduling conflicts. That meeting has now been rescheduled for this coming Thursday. It will be a bit of a short meeting because some of the committee members have prior commitments. So it is scheduled for 5:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. on Thursday the 17th. And after that meeting, we hope to be able to provide our most recent meeting minutes at the next board meeting. Thank you.
David.
The next meeting of the Finance and Facilities Committee is scheduled for Wednesday, June 23rd at 6:30 p.m. We're working on basically the status of all of the various projects that are starting to move forward, and we hope that we'll end up with something that's the equivalent of a dashboard. You can look and see where we are on each project. Lisa Raymond's working on that.
Okay, thank you. Are there any more? Okay. So now we are moving on to approvals. Okay, this is for section C, instructional personnel items. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Is there a motion to approve the instructional personnel items presented to the board for approval this evening?
So moved.
I thought we were gonna separate out one of them, or no?
If that happened, I didn't hear it. I know I said I needed to step away. I didn't hear about someone being pulled separately.
Hold, I have to pull up the most recent agenda. I'm sorry.
C8.
What number is it, David?
Are you thinking about C8 or are you thinking of something else?
I believe it's C8.
Okay. All right, there was no second, right? Okay. So we're pulling this to be for a separate vote, right?
Sure.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the instructional personnel items except for C8 presented to the board for approval this evening?
So moved.
There's a second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Any abstentions? The motion's carries. Okay. I'm gonna just go ahead and do C8. Ivy, I guess, can you poll the board for C8?
There needs to be a motion in a second.
Yes, is there a motion to approve the instructional personnel item C8?
So moved.
Second.
Sorry, go ahead, Ivy.
Discussion.
Sure.
So I just want to say that I am very much in favor of this position, but considering the discussion that we had, I am going to abstain.
I also want to add that I'm going to abstain. While I think that we need the position, I'm not quite sure of the implementation of how this position has kind of been carried for so many years. I do think that there needs to be some equity. That's always a common word that's used lately in education. Equity and sharing how this position can be utilized. And because of that and the discussion that we had in exec session, I'm also going to abstain.
Okay. Hearing none else. Okay, so Tanya, Ivy, continue. I'm sorry, with polling the board.
Okay, on the motion to approve instructional personnel item C8, Mr. Pineda,
Yes.
Mr. Warner,
Yes.
Dr. Dragic,
Abstain.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Ms. Mayers,
I abstain.
Ms. Carey, Ms. Carey,
She's muted.
I'm muted.
Hello, can you hear me?
yes, what is your vote?
Abstain.
Ms. Darden Cintron,
Yes.
motion is carried.
Great. We're up to section D, non-instructional personnel items. Is there a motion to approve the non-instructional personnel items presented to the board for approval this evening?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. Section E, board action items. Is there a motion to approve the board action items presented to the board for approval this evening?
So moved.
There's
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 All those opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. That was, okay, section E. Board action items. Is there a motion to approve the board action items presented to the board for approval this evening?
Wait, Ivy's got her hand up.
That's the one that you just did.
I'm sorry, Ivy. Section F, finance items. Is there a motion to approve the finance item presented to the board for approval this evening?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. Section G, business items. Is there a motion to approve the business items presented to the board for approval this evening?
So moved.
Discussion.
Sure.
So I have questions about several of the items. I don't know if I should pull them or just ask my questions.
Have discussion on the motion. Just need a second.
Second.
Okay.
Just, I mean, be mindful of what section, you know, we're
It's
under.
G. It's all section G. It's
Okay,
all,
good.
yeah.
All right.
So, whoops. So I had, I think that G19 and G20 may be related. It had to do with internal auditors, and so these are not the same as our external, and I saw that it was the first time that it was the first renewal. Lisa, is that correct? This is I guess the question is, how long have we had them and how long are we renewing them for?
So Tobin and Company, I believe this renewal will be for the third year for him, for he and his company. And we can do that up to 5 years before we would have to go out to bid again. I'm not sure. I'd have to defer to Dr. Reynolds if he knows anything about the all points licensed behavior analysis, our analysts contract for curriculum.
I'm not absolutely sure about the length of our partnership with this organization, but this is in relation to PPS.
PPS.
I apologize.
It's for this year, right?
That is correct.
Not for next.
No, this, you're right. During the 2020-2021, it's for this school year, yes.
Yes.
Okay, and then for G20, we are hiring behavior analysts.
That's what we just
And-
discussed, yes.
Right, that's the one we just.
Oh, okay, I thought
discussed.
you were, I'm sorry. Oh, all right, so I'm just wondering why, okay, so then my question is, why do we need them on top of our guidance counselors and social workers?
Because oftentimes there is work that needs to be done outside of the school hours. We've had contracted employees for behavior analysis in the district for many years. I'm not exactly sure how many, but this is common practice in order to meet the needs as required by our PPS regulations, as well as our SEQA corrective action plan.
Okay, that's why I was a little confused, because I thought you were talking about the internal claims auditor, so that was the other one. Okay, so I just wanted to know also if you could just enlighten me the difference between the internal auditors and internal claim auditor.
Certainly. So the internal auditor is Tobin and Company. They're the ones that come in and make sure that we are adhering to the internal controls. And as you know, Tobin and Company did he's finishing up the grant audit, making sure that we're doing our grants properly. Okay. The internal claims auditor is the person who comes in monthly, approves our warrants for payment, make sure that we've got all of the documentation and everything together so that that can be paid, and then the warrant comes to the board. So that person is reviewing all of the payments that are going out, making sure that there's proper documentation, that the bids are being followed, that the policies are being followed, and the lady that did that is retiring. So we had to put that out to bid. And this lady here is a retired business official who started her own business of doing internal claims auditing, and she was the lowest bidder.
So this is the first time ever that we're actually using her.
Correct.
Got it.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
All right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Those were my questions. Thank you.
I do have a question, I'm sorry, with regard to the business contracts. I do see that we have one of our PR firms here, but I don't see the other. I did hear parents ask about communications during the summer and for school reopening in September. What is the plan for PR?
Correct. Okay, so we are in, I believe, year 2 or 3 with the PR firm. We did put the bid out and on our website, and no one bid on that. We have a call into the current contractor to ask if they are willing to extend for a 4th year, and we're waiting to hear from her. If she agrees to that, then she will be put on for the June 22nd meeting.
Okay, and then if we approve that, we can communicate obviously in the summertime.
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
thank you.
If she doesn't agree to that, I have extended, not the invitation, but I have reached out to Rockland Bosse's, who has a COSER that has the same PR services. Just in case they decline, we could possibly go with them so that we could continue the services and not have a default anywhere, because I'm assuming, and you know what happens when you assume, but I'm assuming that over the summer, we're going to want to put out something introducing the new superintendent, et cetera. So I want to make sure that the flow just keeps going.
Absolutely. Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Rainey.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so no further discussion. All right.
Favor.
All those in favor? Am I on mute?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, the motion carries. All right, section H, pupil personnel services items. Is there a motion to approve the pupil personnel services items presented to the board for approval this evening?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. Okay, now we are up to new business. 1 second. Okay, I have 2 resolutions to read. Does anybody have any other new business? Okay. I'm sorry, Ashley?
It's okay. Just a quick FYI to the rest of the board. During our next meeting, I'm going to be asking that we put an item on the agenda to discuss the possibility of adding students to our board meetings. I brought it up in the past. I don't want that to get lost in the sauce when we transition between boards. So I will be raising that as an agenda item so we can have a nice discussion about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley. Okay, the first resolution that I have now is for the interim superintendent. Be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby designates Lisa Raymond to serve as interim superintendent of schools effective July 1, 2021 through and including July 19th, 2021 at a, I'm sorry, hold on. Okay, at a at a stipend in the amount of $3,250.
So moved.
Wait. I'm doing, I guess.
I'll wait.
Okay, so I left one part out. So be it resolved, be it further resolved that the said appointment is in addition to her duties as interim assistant superintendent for business. Okay.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. We have a interim superintendent. Thank you, Lisa Raymond.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have interim secretary. Be it resolved that the Board of Education approves the appointment of Ivy Kraus to serve as interim secretary to the superintendent effective July 1st, 2021 through and including August 31st, 2021 at a monthly stipend of $3,500. Be it further resolved that the said appointment is in addition to her duties as district clerk.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. I heard a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. We have an interim secretary for the superintendent. Okay. Is there any, I think I already asked, but just to be sure, is there any other new business? Okay, hearing none. Can I get a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Good night, everybody. Thank you,
Good night.
community.
Well.
Good night.
For being with us.
Thank you.
It's 10:45. Thank you.
Good night.
Good
Good
night.
night, everybody.
Congratulations.